The Syzygy workshop is an incredibly important step in the process of remembering because it enables you to ensure that your metaphysical construct connecting you from the physical body to God or to Source is intact. And it also ensures that your soul is intact and that the connection between you and your soul to spirit is intact. This connection is incredibly vital for anyone who is here to do something big, to contribute to the evolution of the species, to help the world be an even better place. The term Syzygy itself is not a made-up word. It is, in fact, an astronomical term, and it relates to the alignment or the orientation of celestial bodies like the sun and the moon and the earth. In a spiritual perspective, or in a more subtle energetic perspective, Syzygy refers to the connection between the body, the physical body, the soul, and spirit. And there is a very big distinction between soul and spirit that we will go into in this workshop. We will also talk about how we get here to this planet, how we begin our lives. We dive into the concept of life design. What does it mean to design a life? And how does that relate to choice, free will, and decision, particularly the decisions that we make that allow us to have the experiences that are available to us in a life. So we go into all of this. We go into the idea that there are some beings who come onto an experiential plane, like planet Earth, in order to serve the collective or to serve the species in a way that helps it to evolve. And those beings are generally not in their lives for themselves. They're not here for their own evolutionary purpose. They are here rather to contribute to the evolution of a larger collective. And these people or beings, they are here equipped with something called a sacred contract. And that is one of the many contracts that are established during the process of life design. So we talk about all of this during Syzygy. We talk about what a planet is, why it is created, and the distinction between the physical manifestation of a planet like Earth and the celestial being that is, let's say, infused into the physical construct. And in our case, Earth is the physical construct, and the celestial being associated with it or working through that physical expression is Gaia. And Gaia herself is on a very unique evolutionary journey herself. And we, the temporary inhabitants on her planet, assist her in her evolution as well. So it's a very complex, very beautiful, very multifaceted ecosystem that allows all of us to participate in a very big plan, in a very big picture. So we talk about that during Syzygy. We talk about a very important concept also called incarnation and how it differs from forced reincarnation. And very often people use the terms incarnation and reincarnation in the same breath. They use the terms interchangeably when in essence they mean extremely different things. And they both relate to the way in which we can come into a physical expression on a planet. And we also talk about the idea of why one would want to come into a physical expression in the first place during this workshop. So there's lots of fundamental concepts that are built into what is essentially coined the story of home. And in this workshop, you also get an opportunity to have your own connection to Source or to God assessed, to take a look at the state of your soul, and to decide whether you would like to have intervention in order to make repairs to your connection and or to your soul if they present. The reason why it's so important to consider assessing the nature of your connection to God or to Source is because that connection provides you with two very fundamental aspects of existence. One is the capacity to and the facility to remember. Why is remembering so important? Very often, especially in the school systems that most of us, were raised going into and being products of, we are conditioned to believe and to think that we lack something, and therefore we must learn it, acquire it, generally speaking, from the external world. The concept of remembering is fundamentally based in a philosophy that says that we already know. And in that knowingness, everything can be accessed. And that, of course, is accessed from within. The point of life being to facilitate our own unique journeys of remembering all that we already know. So the idea that we have something to learn is actually a fallacy. And it is to be able to expose ourselves to prompts and to triggers that allow us to even further and more deeply explore our own selves that enables this process of remembering. If you don't have the quantum mechanics in place in order to remember, everything about that process is challenged or even stunted and stopped to a halt. It's even difficult for people who have a damaged connection to Source to meditate, because it is in this act of meditation where we place our focused attention on our inner selves that we are meant to tap into a higher knowing. Ever heard about that? Well, when we tap into our connection to Spirit, we are essentially tapping into our connection to God, our highest knowing. But without that quantum construct of that connection between body and soul, the state of the soul being intact, and then soul to spirit being intact, that connection, it's extremely difficult to get to a place where you can begin the process of self-discovery through the act of remembering. The other reason why getting your connection assessed and repaired, if it's so called to do, is because it is your pathway home after a life. And this pathway home is the organic way home. It is the way that we have been rightfully given passage to return home to God. And many people, as you'll see in the write-up of this workshop on the website, have not been home for a very long time. And there are some very important and oftentimes very severe ramifications, let's say, of not having access to return home for a very long time. All of this and so much more are discussed in this workshop. You are most welcome to reach out to us if you have questions. I appreciate that the premise of what is offered in this workshop is very large. I appreciate that it is something that is difficult to a degree, difficult to believe that it could be true. And there are many people who have gone through this process and have been in that same place where they really didn't know what to believe or whether it was possible, but they were willing and they were open to see what would happen. What I'm talking about in this video And what is described in the Syzygy workshop is not something that will resonate with everyone on the planet. If it is something that sounds true to you, if it is something that moves you deep within and you want to explore more and you want to see where it can bring you, consider signing up. This is where we have landed on presenting this content to the public. It has not been public information for a very long time. And if you have this question running in your mind, well, how do you know how to do it? Or how did you figure out how to do it in the first place? I don't really have a good answer for you, certainly not one that would satisfy the mind. What I can say is that it is a fundamental step in the process of remembering why you're here, which is kind of my area, to help people remember why they're here, particularly those beings who are here to serve in a role that is much bigger than they would need to play for their own evolution. I'm here working with people who are ready to bring in the new and who are at a point on their journeys where remembering the fullness of themselves and embracing the bigness that is hidden within is, if not palatable, at least there's an inner knowingness that it's time, even if it's daunting, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it represents that unknown that they have been doing their very best to avoid looking into for a while. If you are in that place in your life where you know that you have something to contribute to humankind, please consider at least reading through the thorough description of what Syzygy is all about on the website and deciding from there how you want to proceed.